Good evening, everyone. I am so excited to embark on part 3 of our 4-part series, Self-Improvement Strategies for Entrepreneurs. This evening, we have with us none other than Queen Azizah Nubia, CEO of Natural Woman Magazine. I am so excited to speak with you and to talk about spirituality as it relates to entrepreneurs. I have been following you now for quite some time, have had the pleasure of participating in a lot of different events that you host here in Cincinnati. And just want to start off by giving you the opportunity to introduce yourself, tell the people who you are, about your businesses, all the things that you do. Let's just dive right into it.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I think this is super dope what you're doing. I'm loving just the whole idea, and I'm so excited just to be a part and add my little flair to this. But
nothing little about your flair, honey. Nothing little about that flair, baby.
So, again, as she said, I'm Azizah Nubia. I'm the owner of Natural Woman LLC, which houses Natural Woman Magazine, the Natural Woman app, the Natural Woman fashion show, pretty much everything Natural Woman. The idea of just the Natural Woman brand came to me when I gave birth to twins in 2012, all natural. A moment that actually changed my entire life because I was so afraid of that experience that I had to undergo hypnosis to be able to birth them naturally. And after experiencing that, I was like, whoa, women, we can really do anything we put our mind to. It just gave me so much power as a woman that I said, okay, it's time to take this to a whole nother level. But through birthing them, the idea of starting this magazine was birthed. And it was initially supposed to just be a regular email blast that me and my best friend put together to sell our products, because she sold shoes and also, sage detox teas and things of that nature. And in the email blast, we'll have our products, but then we'll also have like tips and information, spotlights and stuff for other entrepreneurs. And then from that idea, it evolved into like, wait, let's start a magazine, which made sense because I was an editor-in-chief of my high school newspaper. I always wrote books, always wrote plays. So it just fit in line. And when the idea of it came, it just clicked. Like, I don't know if you guys ever, when you're in your purpose and you're doing something you were destined to do, it just clicked. And This has been the adventure thus far.
Awesome.
And it has taken me very, very far as things I've been able to do, things I've never thought I would be able to do. I have covered award shows, met so many famous people, so many powerful people. And it's just been an amazing journey, and I'm excited as everything continues to evolve. So
wow. Well, so much to talk about. One of the things that I really appreciate and love about you is how down to earth you are, because you have this amazing following. You've been doing the work. You've met a lot of celebrity people, interesting people, well-noted people, but you always seem to be very approachable to me. So I appreciate that about you. And it's definitely one of the reasons why I chose you to be a part of this conversation in this series, because I really want to give people real information. Like, I want to have real talk about spirituality, how that relates to being an entrepreneur. Is it even important in entrepreneurship? And I think you are the perfect person to talk about that, because your business itself is wrapped around the idea of spirituality and spiritual wellness. So my first question for you is, let's just talk about it. How would you define spirituality? And how do you think it's different from religion? Because I think a lot of people get spirituality and religion, they think it's the same thing, when it's really not. So talk to us a little bit more about that.
Okay, so as far as First thing I always tell people, we are human beings we're spirits having a human experience here. So, you know, our spirit is here to learn something, to go on this journey, to understand this story that we signed up for, that through the birth process, we completely forgot. Pretty much. But then we get clues along the journey to say, oh, this is why I'm here. But I would say spirituality is the journey of beating to your own drum, doing what's best for your spirit and letting your spirit evolve. Religion is more so following doctrines, following rules, following guidelines that sometimes don't fit into that journey that you may have. I grew up Christian, Baptist, sort of say, and then went to Presbyterian, the non-denominational. And the one thing about religion is it didn't feed me spiritually enough. There were spiritual questions and spiritual things that I was experiencing that religion doesn't tap into. For example, why am I having visitations from spirit, like my grandmother's coming to my dreams after they transitioned? Or why am I seeing things that people would call angels or different type of entities? Or those type of questions were never being answered, and I was having all these type of experiences. I would be able to see chakras and auras and thought something was wrong with me because the Bible didn't tell me what that was. And so spirituality is more so about understanding who you are, your nature, walking your own drum. It doesn't have a set of rules, I would say. It's like, you're just flowing and allowing spirit to just unfold. Whereas religion is, you got rules you got to stand by no matter what you believe in or whatever. And then also in religion, it's, I feel like, and this is the biggest thing, religion really teaches people to think that God is something outside of themselves. Where spirituality, it really pushes on that God is within us.
Yes.
It's all about that connection with God in us and having that type of relationship with yourself along this human journey that we're on. If that makes sense.
Awesome. That it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. It resonated with me as you were speaking, because I think that in a way, me getting closer or me honing in on my spirituality, in fact, kind of led me away from religion.
Yeah.
Because as I began to get more in tune, getting more tapped into that internal drum that you speak of, as I'm like listening in the church to different things, there were certain things that just didn't align with me and where I was, and specifically talking is activism. So, we think about, or we see current events that are happening in the world, specifically against Black people being murdered. And as I was growing more on my spiritual journey, like I said, the doctrine and the religion, it wasn't satisfactory for me as far as what am I to do with what's going on? How can I contribute to, in a positive way, to impact my people and to combat the things that are going on in life? So I wasn't getting filled up from religion. So I really appreciate your definition and how you have broken that down. So let's talk about spirituality as it relates to self-improvement, right? So I would say that they're hand in hand. But how would you, when it comes to self-improvement and someone who is on a journey of bettering themselves, what role would you say that spirituality plays a part in that?
Well, I would say spirituality is kind of like that. I guess your spirituality and being spiritually attuned and having spiritual practices, that's kind of like your parachute or your guide to guide you. So for example, and this is the perfect example for me, like this week, I have been very human, if that makes sense, very in my emotions, worrying about things I normally shouldn't worry about, typical things humans do. But because of my spiritual practices and my spirituality, I always can snap back and get back into balance, get back in tune where sometimes if you don't have that in place, you can just go all over the place and feel lost and just like, oh, I have no control. I feel like I'm at rock bottom. But when you have certain spiritual practices in place, they help you to get back on ground. Like they help you to stay back level. They help you to, like, okay, let me gain my wits about myself. That's my favorite saying. And keep things going. So spirituality is very important to self-improvement because, we are always trying to improve and to be better. And, your spirit, your spiritual self, your higher self literally is the guide. That's usually the part that we need to bring into the human experience and follow that. So that kind of will help you to be better. So where sometimes when you want to improve and you feel like you can't, some people don't even attempt. And so they just continue to swirl downward, downward, downward. Whereas when you do have these practices in place, you can, get back on that boat and continue to sail no matter how many times you fall off.
Yes.
And believe me, you're going to always fall off. You ain't going to never just have it and be a perfect person. But it's always that that saving grace, I guess, if that makes sense.
But that was a perfect segue into my next question. So what are some practices that entrepreneurs, people in general can do? What are some spiritual practices that we can do when we feel like we're getting off balance or we are operating more so in our humanness than our spiritualness? What are some practices that people can do?
Okay, so my number one thing is you better get into the habit of meditating. That helps so much because being an entrepreneur, we deal with so much from running our business. A lot of us running our households, bills. If you have a bad month in business, how's that going to affect the money of the household? Just so many things. And when you take the time to make meditation a part of that daily practice, it kind of not erases, but it just quiets all that down so you can have that peace, because peace is everything. And that's a big thing when it comes to spirituality, being able to find that inner peace within yourself. Because if you find and tap into your inner peace, nothing outside of you is going to mess with you. Like you can handle everything no matter how big the challenge is. And so meditation is definitely a great practice to practice, taking the time every day, 5-10 minutes, just to quiet down, quiet your mind, to just not think, to just be in that space. That really, really helps. Another thing is affirmations, because everything is about energy and vibrations and frequency. And a lot of times when you're wanting to attract good business, attract more money, you have to be in the vibration of that. And a lot of times, because of our humanness, we can get into the vibration of worrying, the vibration of lack, but having to be able to repeat affirmations to yourself kind of reels you back into the vibration of where you want to go. So affirmations really, really help. What are some other things? Being in tune with nature, making sure, I know sometimes every day things get busy and you can't go outside to just be in nature, but make sure once, twice a week, you're taking that time to just go walk in the grass, take your shoes off, ground, just be in tune, because nature naturally gets rid of negative energy. If you really just in tune, I don't care if you go onto the beach, go to the woods, go to the forest, go feed some ducks, be in tune with nature. That's going to help you be back into that peaceful state, because peace is everything. And so those would be my top 3 things. Outside of depending on, as far as African-centered people, tapping into your ancestors is a really, really big thing that with us. And but I don't know if we're gonna go that deep.
Yeah, we can go that deep. We can go that deep, okay? I think the people are craving for things that are not surface level, right? We can go that deep. So if your spirit is leading you to go there, then we can go there.
Yeah, so definitely having a relationship with your ancestors, having some type of spiritual practice that allows you to tap into a higher power. Because some people get it confused. When you say I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual, they think you don't believe in God. And I'm no, that's not what I'm saying. I don't believe in the organized way of how you communicate with God. But when I'm more spiritual, I have my own relationship with connecting with the higher powers. And one thing that helps into that gateway is tapping into your ancestors. That really helps you, especially those times when you feel like you don't have no more power left in you, when you feel down. A lot of times, whether you know it or not, it's your ancestors around you trying to push you back up. You know, you just feel like you can't give up. And so those are just some practices that can really just help you being an entrepreneur, stay in the game, because it is no joke. People think being an entrepreneur, running your own business, like, oh, you got it easy. You can go to work when you want to. Like, no, baby, work never stops.
That's right. It never stops. I say that all the time. Being an entrepreneur, the grind never stops.
Never.
Even when you think you may have made it, quote unquote, it still does not stop. In fact, you're probably going to be working that much harder.
Right.
So I'm over here taking notes because you kind of answered one of the follow-up questions that I was going to ask you, which was, what are some of the things that people can do in real time, right? You feel like you're losing your way, things are unraveling around you, but all of those things that you mentioned, really, you can just take a pause, take a moment, meditate, speak affirmations over yourself, or even just get out of the environment that you're in, get outside, go for a walk, etc.
Yeah.
I also read something that I liked that said, for every negative thought, so for one negative thought, train your mind to think 3 positive thoughts to combat that. And it really stuck with me because I'm one who sometimes can get bogged down by negative thinking and just circumstantial things. But the practice of replacing one negative thought with 3 more, it's like, oh, okay, like, yeah, this is good. This is good.
Right.
So thank you very much. I appreciate that, that insight. So let's see, what else can we talk about? Oh, this is a good one. So I have had the privilege of taking your the Art of Manifestation masterclass, Manifesting Like a Boss.
Yeah.
And so I want to talk about the art of manifestation and how it relates to entrepreneurs. How can entrepreneurs apply the art of manifestation in business?
Well, let me just put it like this. We manifest every day. Whether you're dealing with some BS, you manifested it. The good stuff, you're manifested it. And so it's all about being clear on what it is you want to accomplish as an entrepreneur. So if it's, I want to have 50% increase in sales this month for my business. That's the focus. That's the goal. The art of manifesting that is, one, being able to see the outcome. You got to be able to see what the outcome is, whether that's looking at your bank account and seeing that increase in the bank account or what have you. You see that, and then you do the work. You don't worry about it not happening, because as soon as you start worrying about it not happening, then it's not going to happen. It's all about mindset. Okay. And being an entrepreneur, you got to have a positive mindset, because you're not getting that guaranteed 9-to-5 check that's coming every week, every 2 weeks. Everything that's coming to you is based upon what you're putting in and into your business. And so you got to have a positive mindset.
My next question for you is, what are some tactics, and you kind of talked about this a little bit with meditation, affirmation, those type of things, but are there any other tactics that you can share for entrepreneurs to help maintain a spiritual lifestyle that is focused on self-improvement?
Yes. Okay. So one thing we got to understand, in our society, everything is all about success driven, making money, having material possessions, which is great. I'm not saying nothing is wrong with that. I'm a Libra. I love things. I love to buy things. That's my favorite pastime. But sometimes, like, all of that, you don't get filled up, right? So you want to always remember that your spiritual, having a great spiritual practice, being in tune with your spirituality while in business, will help you feel fulfilled. Because a lot of times we go through life we're searching for something. We're searching for some peace. We're searching for love. We're searching for all these things that we look on the outside of us for. But when you tap into your spirituality, you learn how to find those things within yourself. when that happens, it allows the outside experience. And when I say outside experience, your interactions with people and your things versus what's going on within you, it makes that have that much more meaning, and you get more satisfied. And so just tactics is making sure that you're taking the time to feed your spirit, making the time to take care of yourself, making the time to make sure that, you know, you don't ignore how you feel. A lot of us feel like we're doing good self-care by ignoring our feelings. If we're mad, I'm just ignore it. No, you have to acknowledge those things. You have to, you know, you have to deal with those things. You can't ignore it, but you know, you have to honor yourself, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So some of the things that I talked about, make sure you're doing the meditation, affirmations, finding some type of spiritual practice that is in tune with you. For example, me, I have a lot of different spiritual practices that come from all over different spiritual belief systems, I guess, because I have so much different ethnicities in my blood. All of it resonates, and so I make my own little kibosh of practices. But finding some type of spiritual practice to where you can always find home in, because that's one thing you miss when you transition from religion to being more spiritual. One thing about religion that I loved was everybody did meet every Sunday. You know, you met every Sunday and got that recharge. You're going to have to find that type of practice in whatever spiritual practice that you have. And the biggest thing is like making sure that you protect your peace. One of my favorite books are Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. That was like one of the first books that I read when it talks about the art of manifesting and law of attraction. And one thing that he put in there was that he keeps his peace guarded by 9 guards, if that makes sense. And each guard attacked anything that came to tackle the peace. So it's the guard of worry, the guard of fear, the guard of self-doubt, the guard of self-sabotage, all these different, you know, those 9 guards. I can't think of all of them by heart. But that analogy, like really to protect your peace, because your peace is everything.
Yes.
Like that's the biggest thing. If you don't take nothing that I'm talking about, maintaining your peace is everything, because as long as you have your peace, I don't care what challenge you face, you know, what casualty is in front of you, as long as you have your peace, you'll be able to deal with it all. Yes. When you don't have peace and you allow worry and fear and stress to overtake you, that's when you become sick. That's when you can't hear the ultimate or the infinite possibilities out there for you to accomplish anything. You can't be in tune with that. And so the biggest thing, you know, for that self-improvement is to have some type of spiritual practice, protect your peace, be back in tune with nature, and don't forget you're a spiritual being here having a human experience. So yes, we love the human experience, but make sure you take some time to feed the spirit so it can stay full.
Yes. Oh, I love that. So good. I hope you all are taking notes. I hope y'all got that book recommendation, Think and Grow Rich. My mind is, I'm visual. I know you're visual too. But I'm over here thinking about all the 9 different guards that I can put on a canvas somewhere, so it can be my daily reminder, like, no, protect your peace at all costs. And when those negative thoughts or whatever come into mind, stick that guard on them, like, nope, bye-bye, you don't belong here. So that's excellent. My next question, I don't know if men deal with this as much as women do, but there is this saying that's been going around called imposter syndrome. And to be honest with you, I never, like, until I started hearing people saying it, I'm like, this is a thing. Like, I didn't even really know that
this. You gotta enlighten me on that one.
I didn't even know that this was a thing. So because I don't know that it's a thing, I may botch exactly what it is, but I think in a nutshell, it's we are consumed with social media. We are consumed with being able to see people's lives day in and day out. And sometimes we get into this mode of comparing ourselves to others. And I think imposter syndrome has a lot to do with that. So I may see Azizah doing her thing, and all of a sudden I feel like, oh, I need to be like Azizah, or I'm comparing myself to Azizah. I'm just using you as an example.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there are a lot of people who struggle with this new phenomenon of imposter syndrome.
Mm.
So my question to you is, how can being balanced and aligned spiritually combat that notion of feeling like they are succumbing to this imposter syndrome?
Well, one is make sure you're taking a weekly technology cell phone detox. Like sometimes just get off of it first off. That would every now and then. But then you have to always remember, we all here have our own journey. Like we all have our special sauce. We all have our purpose. We all have our things to fulfill. And you have to get in the mindset of understanding and knowing that if something great is happening to one person, instead of sitting there looking at it like, oh, this is happening to her, why is it happening to me? And you going down this spiral of just negative, wishy-washy thinking, be inspired by that. Mm-hmm. Like, wow, I can't believe she was able to accomplish that. Let that motivate me to focus on what I'm doing. So it's really everything, again, back to mindset, changing your mindset, knowing your purpose, knowing what you're here for, being in tune with that. Because once you're in tune with that, it's kind of like, you know, you're in your own lane, if that makes sense. So, you know, I'm in my own lane, but I see Jessica over there. Hey, girl, you go, you get it. I'm in my own lane still. Yes. You know, even if she moves ahead or I move ahead of her, we're still moving.
Yes.
And everybody has their own timing of how things unfold. And so you always have to remember that. You always have to, you know, you have to be your biggest motivator. You know, you have to be on you more than anybody, you know, and allowing your higher self to remind you of that. You know, your angels, your ancestors, your guides, they're here with you to motivate you, to remind you on this journey, on this path. And so that was like my first time hearing about imposter syndrome, but I have definitely experienced that sometimes. And when those times happen, I have to remind myself like, well, okay, hold up, chill out. I like how she did that. You know, let me go back and boost up my stuff.
Yes.
Not because I'm trying to copy you, but it's kind of like, it helps all of us stay motivated. It helps all of us not stay complacent or to stay in one, you know, one level. You know, if that makes sense. So
yes, absolutely. And I think what I appreciate about that, what you said, is that even if someone, it's a perception, right? So you may perceive that someone is moving ahead of you, but just like you said, we're all in our own race, right? So we're our race, our pace. So you may see someone over here that's shining, they are operating in their giftings. And so you mentioned about walking in your purpose. Okay, if someone, to the folks listening who may not know what their purpose is or how to operate in their purpose, can you talk to us about how they can find, you're not gonna let me ask this question, huh? Can you talk to us about someone who may not know what their purpose is on earth? Like, how can they tap into what their purpose is and finding that?
I love that question. It's probably like one of my favorite questions that everybody asks me, because I was at one point wanting to find my purpose and diligent about that. So there are tools out there that can help you find your purpose and understand your destiny. But for my example, I think it was in 2008, when I really had my awakening and just trying to figure out what I was here for. The first thing I did was I got alone by myself, looked up at the sky, and I asked, why am I here? That was very powerful at that point, because everything is a reflection of you.
Right.
Everything that we're seeing and experience is all a projection of something that's within you. And so that was a very profounding moment, because the things that you ask the universe will reveal first off.
Yes. Yes.
And so when I asked that question, I started learning about astrology. It happened like in layers and layers. And so one thing that helped me understand what my purpose is and led me to understanding like, oh, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, was I had a birth chart done. Birth charts are super important. They're like the blueprint. Everybody has their own personal Bible about them. Mm-hmm. And that's a birth chart. Birth charts are based upon where the planets were at the time of your birth. And this helps make up your personality. So I'm a Libra. I was born in October 4th, but I'm composed of many layers, not just Libra. You know, I have a Libra moon. I have a Leo ascendant. I have Scorpio and Venus, those type of things. All these things make up my personality. So me understanding my birth chart and the personality, the talents that I have, your birth chart will help you understand your talents that you were born with. It'll let you know some of the setbacks that you may encounter in this life, some of the karma that you may have gained from a past life and brought into this life. Your birth chart literally gives you the game plan on that. Okay. And that's very important, because if it wasn't for my birth chart, my ass probably would have been a nurse somewhere or working in the LPN program. When I had my birth chart, I realized I had so much Mercury in my birth chart that I knew I needed to be in communications. That was a key thing. This before I even knew about the magazine. I knew communications in some way, either writing, radio show, television. It was just there. Just ridiculous how much stuff is in my Mercury. And so that was one thing. The next thing was getting a numerology chart done. Now, the day of your birth and the name that you were given holds power to your life. Those things aren't coincidence. And I always tell people, because people say, oh, children didn't ask to be here. Yes, the babies did ask to be here, because it's a contract that we signed to be here at the certain times that we are. And so when you have a numerology chart done, your numerology helps you understand what your soul's purpose to being here. It helps you understand what your soul's mission is here. And it's a very important number that's based upon your birthday. You add them all up, and that gives you your life path number. So for example, I'm a life path 11. And so my ultimate goal that my spirit wants to accomplish in life is to inspire and to illuminate. And so me understanding that, okay, my goal is to inspire and to illuminate. I got all this communication stuff, like, you know, I'm understanding these things about me. So then when it came to, okay, do the magazine and let this be the path, it made sense, because I'm always in the mode of inspiring people. That's how I know I'm always on path, because everybody comes to me, Azizah, you inspire me. Your life is inspiring. I'm inspired by you. I'm living in my purpose. Okay. And so those are like the two biggest tools that I had to help guide me on my path. Now, you will not read your birth chart and numerology chart and automatically be like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do.
Right.
But it gives you just the information. It gives you everything you need to know so you can understand what that purpose is. Because I had my charts done in like 2009. I didn't start the magazine in 2012. So it took all the time. I had to know myself, understand myself. And the one thing about your birth chart and numerology chart, you're going to always go back to it, because it's always going to change, because you're constantly changing and growing. And so if you are out there, you want to know what your purpose is, the first thing I would tell you is go get a birth chart done, get a numerology chart done, take that time by yourself and really ask yourself, why am I here? I guarantee you're going to get those answers.
We are getting close to our time, but there was one other kind of topic that I wanted you to touch on. And I think it goes a little bit in line with the whole imposter syndrome ideal. But it's the concept of shadow work. Can you explain to us? I know it is a very, it's not something that you can just give to someone in the time that we have here, but on a high level, what is shadow work? What does it mean? And how can one use shadow work to self-improve? How can they use it on their journey of self-improvement?
Right. Okay, so it's so funny because shadow work wasn't called shadow work when I started. So for a long time, I didn't know what nobody was talking about when they said shadow work. I was like, what is that? But it was like, oh, shadow work is like working on those parts of yourself you don't like, your dark side, your lower side, the things that you don't want to deal with. You know, if you have a jealous issue, got an anger issue, all these different things. That's what shadow stuff is. And shadow work is learning how to heal those things and not so much get rid of it, because I'm not a person is going to say, oh, I'm all good. I have dark too. Now, I'm not saying I'm out here dark and doing dark stuff, but they come hand in hand. They're together. The opposite of Jesus is the devil, yin and yang. So it's all about balancing that. And so shadow work, you know, the things that we've been talking about is all things to help you with shadow work, making sure you're meditating, you know, being in tune with your thoughts, tapping into that negative stuff, learning, you know, your birth chart will really help you with your shadow working, because it's going to show you what your highs and lows are and the things that you should work on. The things that, you know, you need to heal from. And so shadow work is very, very important because it just helps you to be able to heal. We're all here to heal our spirit on some form of level. That's why we come into this existence with baggage, if that makes sense. Okay, so shadow work is there, and we all have to do it. A lot of times, if you don't do the shadow work, it's going to hold you back, and that's just facts. You know, so shadow work is just working on yourself, finding out what are those things that you need to work on. If you're a negative person, if you're angry all the time, or, you know, you have a jealous spirit, things of that nature, you know, working on those, understanding those things, really trying to figure out what it is that your soul is needing to heal so you can be okay with that, you know. And you never want to disown or hate the shadow self. I tell people this when we talk about ego. People always want to kill the ego. I'm like, no, you don't want to kill it, because you need it for a reason. You just got to understand it, be in tune with it, and know when to use it to your advantage.
We are getting close to our time, so I don't want to hold the people too long. This has been an amazing, amazing conversation. So much that I know we could continue on and talk a whole lot more about a whole lot more of things. But I want to wrap us up. Please, please, please tell the people how they can get in contact with you, where they can find you, what services that you are offering. Give us all the rundown.
Okay, so you can look up Natural Woman Magazine. That's me all day, every day on any platform. It'll pop up. Our website is www.asnaturalwoman.com. We do have a Natural Woman Magazine app, but it is down because we're revamping everything. We haven't done a magazine issue in a whole year, and so we're getting ready to put out our newest issue for September. So we're in revamp mode, but you can definitely check out our website at www.asnaturalwoman.com. We have an online store that you can support anybody interested in your spiritual tools, from sage to detox baths. We do birth charts. We do numerology charts. I do intuitive readings, but I won't be doing them for very long. Only to certain clients that, you know, that have worked with me for the years. But I'm trying to get out of that work and just really focus on just the media stuff. But for now, those services are there. Check out, the website leads you to everything from our events. We will have a Natural Woman anniversary show happening in October. Hopefully, if they don't shut us down, like, I'm trying to think of a backup plan. If we did get shut down, how could we still do it?
Yeah.
Hopefully that's not the case, but they're getting on my nerves with the COVID.
The back and forth, right?
I'm so ready for this to be over. You just don't know.
We all need to collectively focus our energies on wellness and wholeness and non-COVIDness.
Yes, this is ridiculous. But that's basically it. You can follow me on Instagram, on Facebook at Azizah Nubia. I'm at Azizah Nubia 1, at Azizah Nubia 11 on Twitter. Azizah Nubia on LinkedIn. We do have a YouTube channel with a lot of helpful information where I talk about some of the things that we discussed on this platform. And that's under Natural Woman Magazine or Azizah Nubia. So check me out. Always here. You know, my ultimate goal is to help inspire, especially women, because I do believe that, you know, a nation can only go as far as women is elevated. And if we want to really see change in the world, it's time for the women to step up. And that's very clear if you don't see it in today's world. Yeah. The women, we're the healers, we're the nurturers, we're the lovers. The world has become very hard, very soft, not very hard, has become very hard, very cold. And now it's time for us to bring in our warmth, our love, our nurturing, to bring everything back into balance.
Yes, balance and harmony. Love, love, love. Well, thank you so much. Definitely follow, like, subscribe to our YouTube channel. You will not regret it. I'm always learning something. I'm currently reading your book, The Art of a Natural Woman. So you all please check that out on Amazon, right?
I forgot all about it. The Art of Being a Woman. Yes. I've been working on part 2 for 4 years. I need to get it out now.
Yes.
But everything divine timing.
Yes, divine timing, but you all will not be disappointed. Check out your girl. Thank you so much. This was so much fun, and I just appreciate you, and thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yes. Yes.
My name is Tiffany Ware, and I have 2 businesses that I'm very proud of that I run by myself mostly. The first business is a nonprofit called the Brown Growth Project. That program is dedicated to celebrating the beauty of melanated women, as well as educating, encouraging, and empowering Black women and girls. And we do that through unconventional workshops, social events. Just our main goal basically is to provide representation where we haven't seen it, and just be a soft, safe place to fall every day.